The signal that shouldn't exist, Doctor. Elena Vasquez hadn't slept in 43 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the cascading data streams on her monitor. But sleep was impossible now. Not after what she'd found buried in the Voyager 2 telemetry archives. Not after the signal. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory hummed with its usual midnight silence, broken only by the distant whir of cooling systems and the occasional footstep echoing down sterile hallways. Elena sat alone in the Deep Space Network analysis room, surrounded by decades of space exploration data that most people had forgotten existed. She was a data archaeologist, combing through old transmissions for anomalies, glitches, anything that might teach humanity something new about the cosmos. She never expected to find proof that humanity wasn't alone. And she certainly never expected to find it hiding in plain sight for 40 years. The signal appeared as a rhythmic pulse embedded within Voyager 2's routine telemetry from August 1981. Back then, the probe was cruising past Saturn, sending back breathtaking images of the ringed giant. But underneath all that scientific gold, beneath layers of cosmic radiation and instrument noise, something else had been transmitted, something impossible. Elena had almost missed it entirely. The pattern only revealed itself when she applied a new filtering algorithm designed to strip away electromagnetic interference. What emerged made her hands shake so violently she had to step away from her keyboard. It was a mathematical sequence, prime numbers arranged in clusters repeating every 17 minutes with atomic precision. But here's what made her blood run cold. The sequence was being transmitted through Voyager 2, not by it. The probe had been acting as a relay, catching and rebroadcasting a signal from somewhere deeper in the solar system. Elena pulled up the trajectory data, her mind racing through the implications. In August 1981, Voyager 2 had been positioned between Saturn and a relatively empty patch of space trailing behind the planet's orbit. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that should have been broadcasting mathematical proofs of intelligent life. She ran the calculations 3 times, checking and rechecking her work. Each time the answer came back the same. The source of the signal was roughly 1.2 billion kilometers from the Sun, drifting in the cold darkness beyond Saturn's orbital path. And according to the telemetry, it had been there long before Voyager 2 stumbled upon it. Jesus Christ, Elena whispered to the empty room. Her voice sounded strange, small against the magnitude of what she'd discovered. She picked up her phone, thumb hovering over her supervisor's contact. Protocol demanded she report this immediately. A potential alien signal was exactly the kind of discovery that should bypass the usual channels and go straight to the top. But something made her hesitate. The signal had been there for 40 years, buried in publicly available data. Anyone with the right tools could have found it, yet nobody had. Why? Had others discovered it and been silenced? Was there a reason this particular piece of data had been left moldering in the archives instead of being analyzed with modern algorithms? Elena set down her phone. She needed more information before she stuck her neck out. She needed to know what else Voyager 2 might have captured. She dove back into the data, pulling up every transmission from that August window. The probe had been performing routine observations, atmospheric composition readings, magnetic field measurements, temperature gradients. Standard stuff. But when Elena overlaid the signal pattern with Voyager's positional data, something remarkable emerged. The signal intensified as Voyager 2 approached a specific coordinate, then faded as the probe continued on its trajectory. It was localized, emanating from a fixed point in space, and when Elena calculated the exact position, her breath caught in her throat. The source wasn't randomly floating in the void. It was sitting precisely at Saturn's L5 Lagrange point, one of the gravitationally stable zones where objects could theoretically remain stationary relative to the planet and the Sun. It was a parking spot, a rest area in the cosmic highway. Someone had left something there, something that had been waiting, broadcasting its mathematical greeting into the void, for who knows how long. Elena's fingers flew across the keyboard as she searched for any missions that might have investigated that region. Nothing. Every probe, every telescope, every astronomical survey had missed it completely. Humanity had been so focused on the planets themselves, on the moons and rings, that nobody had thought to look at the empty spaces between. She pulled up the current ephemeris data, calculating where that Lagrange point would be now, in 2024. Her heart hammered as the numbers resolved on screen. The object, whatever it was, should still be there. Lagrange points were stable over geological timescales. If something had been parked there in 1981 or even centuries earlier, it would likely remain. Elena made a decision that would change everything. She compiled her findings into an encrypted file, attached every piece of supporting data, and sent it to 3 people: her supervisor, the director of the Deep Space Network, and Dr. James Chen at the SETI Institute. If she was going to reveal humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, she needed witnesses. She needed people who couldn't be silenced or ignored. Then she leaned back in her chair and waited for the world to catch fire. The reply came 7 minutes later, not from her supervisor or the DSN director, but from a number she didn't recognize. The message was brief, just 3 words that made her blood turn to ice. "Stop digging, Elena." Someone had been watching. Someone had been waiting to see if anyone would ever find the signal, and now they knew she had. Elena stared at her screen, at the mathematical proof of alien intelligence glowing in the darkness, and realized with absolute certainty that she'd just painted a target on her back. Whatever was waiting at Saturn's L5 point wasn't just a discovery. It was a secret someone was willing to kill to protect. The Watcher's Elena's office door burst open 6 minutes after the anonymous message arrived. She barely had time to lock her workstation before 2 men in dark suits materialized in the doorway, their faces carved from stone and authority. "Dr. Vasquez, you need to come with us," the taller one said. "Not a request. A command wrapped in professional courtesy." "Who are you?" Elena stood, her chair scraping against the linoleum. Her heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. Years of defending her research in academic settings had taught her not to show weakness. The shorter agent pulled out credentials: Department of Defense, Office of Special Access Programs, names and divisions Elena had never heard of, printed on identification that looked more classified than anything she'd ever seen at JPL. "Ma'am, this concerns national security," the tall agent continued. "We need to discuss what you've discovered tonight." Elena's mind raced. National security? That meant the government already knew. They'd known about the signal for 40 years, maybe longer, and they'd buried it. The realization hit her like cold water. She hadn't discovered first contact. She'd discovered a cover-up. "I sent my findings to 3 people, Elena said, buying time. "Whatever you're planning, it's too late for damage control." The shorter agent's expression didn't change. Dr. Chen's email was intercepted before he opened it. "Your supervisor, Dr. Patricia Hammond, is being briefed as we speak. The DSN director received your message 18 seconds ago and is currently in a conference call with people well above your clearance level." He paused. "You've set off quite a few alarms tonight, Dr. Vasquez." "Good," Elena said, surprising herself with the steel in her voice. "Someone should be alarmed. There's something at Saturn's L5 point, something that's been broadcasting for decades. The public has a right to know." "The public," the tall agent said slowly, "has a right to sleep peacefully in their beds without existential terror. Do you know what happens when 8 billion people learn they're not alone in the universe? When they discover something has been watching us, studying us, waiting at the edge of our solar system?" "You mean you've known?" Elena felt anger rising through her fear. "You've known there's alien technology sitting out there and you've done nothing?" "We've done exactly what needed to be done," a new voice said from the hallway. A woman in her 60s entered, wearing a NASA administrator badge but carrying herself with military precision. Her silver hair was pulled back severely, and her eyes held the weight of terrible secrets. "We've kept humanity from tearing itself apart." Elena recognized her from briefings. Dr. Sarah Kingsley, Deputy Director of NASA's Office of Planetary Defense. But looking at her now, Elena suspected that title was a cover for something much deeper. "Dr. Vasquez, my name is Sarah Kingsley, and I'm going to tell you things that will fundamentally alter your understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos." She pulled up a chair and sat across from Elena with the weariness of someone who'd had this conversation before. "But first you need to understand why we've kept this quiet." Elena remained standing. "I'm listening." "The object at Saturn's L5 point isn't just broadcasting," Kingsley began. "It's a probe, what we call a watcher, and it's not alone. We've identified 17 of them positioned throughout the solar system, each one sitting at gravitationally stable points, each one thousands of years old based on stellar drift calculations." The room seemed to tilt. 17. Not one alien artifact, but 17 surveillance stations scattered across humanity's cosmic backyard. They're automated sentinels, Kingsley continued, left by a civilization we know nothing about. They watch. They record. They transmit data to somewhere beyond our detection capability, and they've been doing it since before human civilization existed. Elena sank into her chair. How long have you known? Pioneer 10 detected the first one in 1973 near Jupiter's L4 point. We've been cataloging them ever since, using deep space probes and classified telescope networks. Every new mission, every trajectory we plot, we're careful to avoid getting too close. We don't want them to know we've noticed them. Why not? Elena's scientific curiosity warred with her shock. If they've been watching us for millennia, they already know we're here. Why hide? The shorter agent spoke up. Because 3 months ago, one of them changed its behavior. Silence crashed into the room like a physical force. Kingsley pulled out a tablet and placed it on the desk between them. The screen showed telemetry data, signal analysis, spectroscopic readings. The watcher at Neptune's L5 point stopped broadcasting its routine signal on August 3, 2024. For 72 hours, it went completely dark. Then it reactivated, but its transmission pattern had changed completely. Elena leaned forward, her researcher's instincts taking over despite her fear. Changed how? It started counting down. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. A countdown to what? Elena whispered, we don't know. But based on the mathematical progression we've decoded, it reaches 0 in approximately 6 months. Kingsley's face was grave. Whatever these watchers have been waiting for, whatever threshold or condition they were monitoring, we've apparently crossed it. Elena's mind spun through the implications. Humanity had been under alien surveillance for thousands of years, watched by machines older than recorded history. And now, suddenly, the watchers had decided humanity was worth reporting back about, or worth responding to. Why are you telling me this? Elena asked. Why not just throw me in a cell and bury my research like you've buried everything else? Kingsley met her eyes with unexpected respect. Because you found the signal using publicly available data and off-the-shelf algorithms. If you could find it, others will eventually find it too. The age of secrets is ending, Dr. Vasquez. In 6 months, when that countdown reaches 0, everything changes. We need brilliant minds working on this problem, not locked away in government facilities. She stood, straightening her jacket. You have a choice. You can go public with what you know, start a global panic and watch civilization tear itself apart in fear and religious upheaval. Or you can join us. Help us figure out what these watchers want, why they're here, and what happens when their countdown ends. Elena looked at the data on the tablet, at the proof of humanity's cosmic surveillance, at the ticking clock counting down to an unknown apocalypse or revelation. She thought about her mother's words when she joined NASA. We reach for the stars because that's where the answers are. Now the stars were reaching back. And humanity had 6 months to figure out if they were reaching out in greeting or in judgment. What do you need me to do? Elena asked. Kingsley smiled, but there was no humor in it. Only grim determination. We need you to help us talk to them. Because if we can't establish communication before that countdown ends, we may never get another chance to prove humanity deserves to join the cosmic conversation. Elena stood, her exhaustion forgotten, her fear transmuted into purpose. 43 hours without sleep, and she was about to embark on the most important mission in human history. The Watchers had been silent for millennia. Now humanity had 6 months to make them listen,